Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a really powerful idea that businesses don't actually fail, they break. Now, that might sound like the same thing, but it's a subtle difference that honestly changes everything about how you should think about growth and leadership. So, the core idea here is that a company's collapse almost always feels sudden, but it's not. It's right here in this quote. Pressure builds up quietly. It's the end result of this slow, invisible force that's been growing for a long, long time. It's not some big event, it's a process of fatigue. And that leads us to a place that, well, a lot of founders and leaders know it all too well. It's that exact moment where all your hard work, all your grit, all that urgency, it just stops working. It stops producing results. I mean, we've all been there, right? You're pushing harder and harder, but you just feel like you're spinning your wheels, getting absolutely nowhere. So what is really going on when your best efforts just seem to fall completely flat? The first place we usually look is in the mirror. We tell ourselves it has to be a personal failing. I'm a weak leader, or I just don't have enough grit. And in a weird way, that's kind of comforting because it feels like something you can control. But the source material for this says, nope, that's a myth. The real problem isn't you. It's architectural. It's not some kind of moral judgment on your effort. It's a structural outcome. Your business is simply being asked to carry a weight it was never, ever designed to support. And those cracks are finally starting to show. Okay, and this is a really interesting distinction. We confuse personal stress with systemic pressure all the time. You can manage stress with things like self-care and better boundaries, but you can't manage systemic pressure the same way. I mean, trying to solve a systemic problem with personal resilience, that's like trying to fix a crack in a dam with a Band-Aid. It's just not going to work. So, when that systemic pressure starts to build, leaders almost always fall into this trap. These things feel like the responsible choice in the moment, right? Like you're taking charge, but it's a losing battle. You're just pulling more and more of the system's weight onto your own two shoulders. So, the huge takeaway here is this. If you feel like you're working harder but actually achieving less, you have to stop questioning your motivation. It's time to start questioning your design. That's where the real answer is hiding. So let's move on and see how this all builds toward a real solution. It means we have to stop looking at the surface level stuff, the effort, and start really examining the system that's running everything underneath. Now, when we say design, we're not talking about how your website looks. As you can see here, design is about the fundamental architecture of your business. It's about how responsibility, authority, and consequence are all arranged. It's the invisible wiring that dictates how everything really works. And this just nails the real-world impact. Your company's design, whether you planned it or it just kind of happened, is already answering these critical questions. Who gets that late-night call when something breaks? Who's carrying the financial burden? And let's be honest, who is the ultimate bottleneck? A really key principle of good design is separating the day-to-day work, the operating, from the ownership of risk. In the early days, yeah, the founder does both. But as the business grows, if that founder is still both the main operator and the only risk taker, they basically become the system's human shock absorber. A good structure is supposed to create a buffer there. All right, so let's look at what happens when you've got a lot of action, tons of hustle, but no real intentional design underneath it all. This is when you get a state of constant motion, without any real progress. This quote just perfectly captures that feeling. It's what it says, motion without coherence. It's all this energy being spent just reacting and scattering in a million directions, instead of building something solid that creates genuine value. Yeah, this kind of undirected action always follows a predictable path. It kicks off with chaos. That chaos leads to scattered responsibility, where nobody's really sure who owns what. And the final stop on that train? Burnout. Complete exhaustion before anything of real value gets created. And this whole problem is made so much worse today because of our tools, Slack, Asana, you name it. Every single platform has its own hidden assumptions about how work should be done. And all these layers just pull our efforts in different directions, often in ways we can't even see. So if you can't just outwork pressure, and all that undirected motion just leads to chaos, what's the answer? Well, you have to stop fighting pressure and start designing for it. This right here, this is probably the single biggest mindset shift you can make. You have to stop treating pressure like it's the enemy you have to fight off. You need to start treating it like a scientist would, as a diagnostic tool. It is giving you incredibly valuable information about your business absolutely free. And what's that information? Well, pressure shows you exactly where your system is fragile. It shines a big spotlight on the bottlenecks, the single points of failure, and all the assumptions you made that were only true back when things were calm. It's basically a stress test that reveals the truth about your company's structure. When it comes right down to it, pressure isn't asking if you're talented or if you're working hard enough. It's asking much, much deeper questions. It's asking, can this business even function without you? Is it a well-designed machine, or is it just a collection of efforts held together by your personal willpower? And that leaves us with this really powerful final thought. In the long run, the name of the game isn't about moving fastest. It's about being able to survive. The goal isn't just to build something that can grow quickly, it's to build something that was truly designed to hold.